Page 297. This is the first lesson in Unit 24. Apparently in this lesson we're going to be covering the chromatic scale or chromatic passages. That is where the notes are going up or down, ascending or descending, whatever you want to call it, depending on how fancy you want to get, but you're using half steps. A chromatic scale or a chromatic passage is half steps. They show an example in the middle of the page here. Now, there's different fingerings for chromatic scales. The standard one, the one you use first, learn first to get used to, the go-to one, is the third finger is going to play all the black keys. Third finger, okay. And either one or two is going to play the white keys. And the reason for that is because when you have two white keys together with no black key, you got to have one and two together. So they do that. Otherwise, thumb plays them. Thumb plays the others. That's the go-to default fingering. And that's sort of what this is. They're starting on an E. Here. That's a chromatic passage. I don't have a video on chromatic scales. I don't teach chromatic scales per se, because a chromatic scale fits all key signatures because it's using all the notes. It has no starting point, no official starting point. It's like a circle. It's like we say, where does a circle start? Well, anywhere it wants to, it's a circle. Same thing with a chromatic passage. You could start and end on any note. You can turn around on any note, go the other direction on any note. So it's whatever. Now, when you're going in contrary, if you want to try contrary, because if you do parallel, the third fingers are playing together. But when you get to these are off of that. In contrary motion, then we have to find a starting point where we're using the same fingers and black and white keys at the same time. Because otherwise, you could start here. If I do Fs, already I'm off different fingers. The fingers are off, and that gets a little tricky. However, if you start on a D and go contrary motion, turn on a D, come back down, the finger, it's symmetrical. You're using the same fingers, white and black keys together. So D, if you want to do contrary together, you can do them that way. But you can really do contrary starting anywhere. It's just your fingering will be a little bit off. Now, as I said, that is the default. That's the most common one used, taught. Now, when you're in a piece of music and you're trying to figure out what the fingering is, you're not sure, that's the fingering you try first. There are other fingerings. The one I use quite a bit, so thumb doesn't have to do everything, is when I'm doing up here, these. Once you get here, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, because it just fits. Just gives the thumb a little bit of a rest, a breather. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a bit of a rest. Now, when you're fingering in a piece of music, you have to decide how to finger it based on what comes before and after it and how long the passage is. They're using the standard fingering. Like in this example in the second measure, they have the here. That's standard finger. And it's fine, nothing wrong with it. However, I could do that. I'm only using the thumb once. Depends on how fast it is. So you may adjust the fingering a little bit based on the needs of the piece. Look in measure 4 we have here. That's okay. But I could also start with 5. Just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If it's a fast piece, you'd want to do that, like Fly to the Bumblebee or whatever. So you are adjusting the fingering for a chromatic passage based on the needs of the music and the speed and how fast you're going, whatever. Now, as far as notating them in the music, notating the notes, okay. Generally, when you're going up, you use sharps. And when you're going down, you use flats, and that's why you see it this way. If you look at the fourth measure here, they're using sharps all the way through. If I were going to do that, I would actually change those to flats. I would go in E, E flat, D, D flat, C, because I'm going down technically. But as you can see here, you don't have to. But in most cases, it'll be more like the middle of the page example where they use sharps going up and flats going down. Again, it depends on how long the chromatic passage is. It's just a few notes, whatever. If they can eliminate one of the accidentals or a natural sign or something by using a flat or a sharp or whatever, then it makes it a little easier to read. But as a general guide, sharps go up, flats go down. Now let's talk about this piece. Look it over, it's 2 lines long, treble bass clef, no sharps or flats in the key signature. We're in the key of C major. Make sure you're doing the C major scale and A minor scale and the arpeggios and blah, blah, blah. You've heard this before. Okay, 4/4 time, I'm going to take it one hand at a time. Right hand starts here, and it's chromatic, you can see it. Because you see all these accidentals, you think, oh no, it's just a chromatic passage. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come down, second finger, 3. See, if I were going to finger that, I wouldn't do it. I would 2, 3, I'd use 3. But we'll stick with our fingering, because just for the practice of this, here. Measure 5, it's like at the beginning. And then here. That's all right. I would do that. That better, but we'll use their fingering. It's good practice. Okay. Left hand is just the chords. You got the C chord, the 1 chord, 5/7 chord, G7. Okay, that's how we're done. Okay. Here. Now, let's be accurate, please, because it's kind of important. And on something like this, it's not too hard to be accurate, but it prepares you for playing more difficult things. These left hand is a quarter note, quarter rest. So you lift it up for the rest. When I play that, it comes up. See, right when I play the F sharp, rest. So make sure you're lifting up in the left hand for the rest. You could experiment when you get into interpreting it and try other articulations, but this is good for now. As far as the dynamics go, you get the swells. They want you to start moderately loud, go up to loud, and come back down. You see, you're going up and back down. Exaggerate it if you have to. Yeah. Left hand's in the background, out of the way. Speed, not fast. It has to be accurate. So try it at different speeds. Use metronome if you have to, but yeah, I think this is about right. Please don't copy me. You decide on your speed and your dynamics. Try different articulate. How about staccato on the left hand, just for kicks and giggles? Yeah, something like that. Maybe you put in a staccato at the end of each phrase in the right hand. It's interpretation. The music doesn't say to do that, so you probably wouldn't do it. But again, this is something you kind of play around with and experiment, because all the time you're playing around with it and experimenting with it, you're actually practicing. You're getting better. You're exploring the possibilities. Now, assuming you can go ahead and play this with no problems, at least slowly, let's play it together and check that you have the correct notes and rhythms. I'll give us 4 counts. I'm not going to do the dynamics. We're not performing it, just notes and rhythms, and we're going to go slow. Well, slow for me. 1, 2, ready, go. rest, 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 4,